forget how abrupt that ends right at the end, where there's no kind of like fade of the music. It just immediately cuts. But we're back. It has been a couple, 3-4 weeks, give or take, since our last one. So welcome to episode 4 of Collectors Castle's Roundtable podcast. My name's Kyle McCollum from Max Toys and Comics.
I'm Randy Lepting, 90 Culture Comics and Collectibles out of Spearfish, South Dakota.
I'm Chad. I'm currently in Virginia.
My name is Jon-Luke. I'm the owner of JL Hawk Customs, and I'm in Virginia as well.
Awesome. Well, so John is going to be joining us tonight. He's our showcase spotlight. Before we get into that, let's go through a little bit of the business. So welcome, everyone. We did want to just give a quick shout out to all the new members that joined us. It's always interesting to look at the new members and then see the members that came and went within the 2-week span of joining the castle and leaving the castle. It's always interesting to see that. It always seems to be kind of those fake accounts, but that's always funny to kind of check out. So cool, awesome. Again, we appreciate each and every one of you guys. If you have not taken the opportunity, please, we will post a comment, with a link to the YouTube channel. Chad is just blowing out a ton of content out there, including some member products and collections. So if you are interested in showing off your collection, please reach out to us. We'd love to add it to the Castle YouTube channel. But to kind of really just get into the meat of tonight's discussion, which I think is going to eat up, a lot of our time together, is Jon-Luke Hawk. So he is does a lot of customs. I'm not going to do it enough justice. I'm going to kind of let him kind of start us off and, tell us a little bit about himself. And then we'll go from there. So let's kick it over to John.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Kyle, thank you so much for having me on. Customs have been a hobby of mine for a couple of years now. I would say it started all the way back when I was a kid, when I was making Lego sets for myself, and I had the Clone Troopers all set up. I grew up with the Clone Wars, and I just loved that. As the years went on, I kind of, switched to maybe some smaller dioramas. My family sets up like a Christmas train display, and I'd have a little part of that. And then as I got into college, I started seeing these YouTube videos of guys customizing action figures, and particularly Star Wars ones, because that was where I grew up with and had a lot of fond memories associated with. So I ran across these channels that started customizing these Bandai kits, like the Star Wars Bandai. And I'll open this up in a little bit and you can kind of see what I'm talking about. But basically, it's a model that then you can put together, but you can also paint it and customize it, things like that. So I started there. I started in my dorm room, just making, 1 or 2 of these characters that, Hasbro hadn't really released, or it was just something kind of unique like that. My very first Black Series figure was the Red Box Captain Rex. I had him for years and actually just sold him a little while ago. But anyway, I started there and just started airbrushing in my dorm room, figuring out the whole process on taping. And you can check my Instagram to see some of those really early figures. And I've definitely come a long way since then. I'm happy about that. But that kind of skill, I just kept developing it over the years. And really, it was this last summer that I decided I'm going to treat this like a little side business. I'd always kind of sold them on the side, but I decided to kind of ramp it up a bit and actually take commissions and try and work that side of things. so I dove in with Instagram. I never had an Instagram before, and it's been an experience for sure. But I discovered a really cool community. You guys are part of that. Chad and I connected over to Facebook group. I needed some boxes to ship figures in, and he helped me out with that, and that's led to developing relationships with you guys, and that's been really great. Yeah, do you guys have any questions on that?
Well, I'm going to kind of let Chad and Randy kind of lead a lot of this because I'm actually as interested in really getting into and learning about what you do with customs and the process, and because it's just something that's so foreign to me. I've never actually gone through one, so I'm going to kind of let kind of take a seat back and just kind of listen and learn because I'm really excited to hear about this.
Well, and I'll just jump in with my quick 2 cents because it's kind of Chad's show tonight, Chad and John's. Chad was showing me these awesome customs he's getting, and he's like, there's this young kid, he's doing these crazy customs, he's doing these awesome Star Wars figures. And I'm like, man, I got a ton of backstock of like Mythic and Cosmic Legions. I'd love to just send this guy some stuff and see what he can do with it. And lo and behold, I don't know if we're going to see it tonight in the show. I guess that's kind of up to John, but he is working on a pretty amazing thing for me. And that's kind of all thanks to Chad introducing us and me just seeing the great work he's doing. So I'll just turn it over to you, Chad, if you want to kind of go from there.
Yeah, well, like John said, how we connected was I was cleaning out, and at that point we were planning on like leaving the area and traveling. That all fell through. But I was really downsizing a lot of stuff. For some reason I kept like a bunch of Black Series boxes, and instead of throwing them away, I just posted in a Facebook group like, "Hey, like, you pay the shipping, they're yours." Really wasn't expecting anybody to hit on it, but within like an hour, like John got them, and he gave me his Instagram link, and I went over there. I just made a comment about this guy right here. He had just posted this guy, just finished him, and the funny thing is, like a day before that, I watched this episode and told my wife, "Man, they really need a Captain Rex like that. I really need that in my life." Like 2 weeks later, he hits me up with a deal on it, and I'm like, you know what? I'll take it. And once I got it in hand, and now you see I've got all these from him since then. And once I looked at it in hand, I was like, oh man, I was hooked. So, and speaking of your Mythic Legions, when we started that conversation, it led it to me actually going ahead and pulling the trigger on a commission of wow, Captain Rex out of a Mythic Legion Knight, and I think John has it. So at any point in time, he wants to show that off. But
Oh, there it is.
Here he is.
yes,
Oh
sir.
man.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
I guess that's like the perfect segue.
Yeah. So I'll kind of start walking you guys through like what the process actually looks like, and I'm gonna have to do it this way. So basically, a lot of my kit or a lot of commissions start with talking to a customer about what they want, and basically, I'm my dad calls me a walking encyclopedia when it comes to Star Wars, and that is definitely true. So if somebody says a certain type of trooper or something like that, I know instantly, offhand what it is. So usually I try and direct people towards like these Bandai kits. And basically what this is, it's a full-on model kit. And it's all like on spurs, and you see all the pieces of, the clone trooper there. Hold on a second. Basically they come like this, and I start clipping them off, and then usually one of the reasons I like this a lot is I can tape right over it, and I can tape a design, and then paint that design with an airbrush. And I'll take you to my kind of like paint booth or impromptu paint booth in a couple minutes. But then like once I get the design painted on, then it's a whole weathering process, and that's like basically the basic process for a normal clone trooper. But every once in a while, I get a really unique commission, and I've got a couple of those tonight. And the first one, of course, is the Knight Rex. I showed him a little bit there so you can get a better view. But he turned out really well. And this idea came off of somebody, from Pinterest or, online, who had this idea of drawing our clone commanders in medieval format. Super awesome idea. And I kind of took that and ran with it. And I always look for, a base figure that's semi close to what I'm trying to go for, to create. And that's like Randy, when I said, oh, this guy's got 4 arms, then that's a good starting point. Because once, I don't have a 3D printer. That's something I'd really like to get into sometime soon. But anyway, I can't like manufacture my own figures yet, so I have to go off of something. So that's where we start with the base figure. And with like the Knight Rex, so he started out as that Mythic Legion's Dark Templar, but he didn't have any chest.
You want to take a minute? We can actually bring up the video and kind of go through a little bit of your process on this. If you can kind of walk us through it, I think, because and plus I get to spotlight Chad's video again, so add this. Here we go. I'm going to bring up a little bit of audio for this, I guess. I mean, that looks incredible.
I love this music, Chad. It's so
All right, so let's break this down. So, I'm gonna, if you want, I'll kind of start and stop the video. You can kind of just lead me here, but this will you can just kind of walk us through what your process was.
If you go to the next picture, that's probably the best representation of what he started as. So there he was. You can see I still got the helmet here, actually. He's still on my shelf. But yeah, some minor modifications to the mold itself. If you skip to the next one. So that's like about the beginning of the process where, I haven't painted anything, and basically I'm trying to fit the armor pieces onto this, like that figure. And what I actually ran into is that the scale's a bit different. So the mythic line is like 1/12 scale, but that's a little bit, the Black Series is like basically 1/12, but it's not quite. So the breastplate was a little bit small for this figure. But what I ended up doing was shaving it down. So I took a Dremel. I bought one for like $10 off Amazon, and just started dremeling it down to try and fit this chest plate on. If you go to the next picture, I think we got some pictures of it fitting. That was just kind of like a scaling I sent Chad. That basically the helmet is going to work. It's not going to look too weird, but yeah, that picture right there. So that's where I started trying to get it fitted, and I had to end up actually taking an ARC Trooper's armor piece and like the chest armor and cutting it in half and gluing it onto the side to kind of like widen that chest plate to make it actually seem to scale for this figure. It was really fun for me to kind of, you can see the orange knee pads at the bottom there. I took pieces off of the clone trooper I had on hand and just started slowly adding them in to kind of give that synthesis of like the Star Wars look and the Knight look, and try and bring them together to make it look like actually a cohesive figure.
Nice.
What I really like about this is the head of stormtroopers you have back there.
Yeah, that was a fun little project. I can show it here in a couple minutes.
That is so cool.
I've seen all of you guys' Black Series helmet displays. I'm really jealous of Chad's, actually. But I don't have room, and I'm not ready to pay for that many helmets. Yeah. So I decided to make my own 1/12 version of it. And it came out really nice. It's a fun little desk ornament.
So John, are you also doing custom miniature IKEA furniture now?
After building that, I did actually build it from scratch. I got some balsa wood, but I definitely would not do that again. It was like I got super glue all over everything, and my dad would be ashamed of me with how not square and plumb it is. My dad does a lot of woodworking and taught me all that, but it did not translate to 1/12 scale.
So no 1/12 scale DTOFs coming anytime soon.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Okay.
But yeah, so like this picture, so I ended up ordering the helmet off of a vendor on Etsy. That's where I get a lot of my parts. I'm always looking for new vendors who are, affordable and kind of with fast shipping. Fast shipping is the biggest thing for me. One vendor takes literally like a month to ship anything, and that's where I got the helmet from. And he has a lot of stuff, and it's really nice to be able to order from him, but it just takes forever. But the weight was definitely worth it on this one because of that helmet. I feel like that really made the figure. And it comes as just an unpainted resin print. And as the technology has gotten better, it's a very smooth print. And basically, I don't have to do a ton of sanding on it. I don't have to do anything like that. But I just had to touch it up a little bit. So that's really nice.
So is it underneath when you buy it? Is it full, is it hollow inside?
Yeah, I can show you here. If you can kind of see, basically, yeah, it's hollow, but then I have to I either have to drill it out, and add in, I use sticky tack a lot on a lot of my figures. I'm sure Chad's familiar with that by now. But that's basically how you hold the head on, because at the beginning, I tried to get it to just pressure fit. And it just, it kind of works, but it just ends up falling off, and people get kind of frustrated by, how this is supposed to stay on. They kind of expect an action figure level, playability almost from it. The reality is a lot of these things are a lot more fragile, but the sticky tack definitely helps to kind of keep it together in that way. So the next step of the process is the painting, and I'm actually going to take you guys a little walkabout here to show you where I paint. When the weather's good, I'll go outside and do it, but a lot of times I actually end up just painting in my bathroom. We've got a little vent, and I hooked up, I put a little cardboard piece up to keep it from getting all over everything. And then I've got basically just a little paint booth. I use these a ton. They're just little stands for the parts. And then I got my airbrush compressor. You guys can see that down there. That was actually a gift from my fiance. She gave that to me for Christmas, and it's changed the game. I had a little 2 PSI compressor before that. And that just did not do it for painting. But yeah, basically I prime the figure after that, and then we kind of move on to the next phase of the actual painting. If you go back to the slideshow there, I think I have another work in progress. Yeah, so I kind of jumps ahead a little bit there, but basically I put another coat of the actual paint I want for the figure. And this one I use a gunmetal paint. It's one of my favorite colors, actually. I think it turns out really, really cool in this figure in particular, but gives that kind of shiny look. And then I go through and I take a little brush and I do the black detailing. So, on all the joints or where there might be the chainmail showing through or something like that, I paint it black. And that also kind of ties in with how the Clone Trooper's armor is with that black undersuit. Then I start adding the blue details. And of course, yeah, I think I did. Yeah, the helmet was up there. One of the earlier things that I did. I was actually happy with the design. Sometimes it takes me a really long time to try and get a design, because you're talking about literally half an inch tall, trying to get it that detailed. But small tip brushes are really the key to that, and patience. And then sometimes I'll actually clear coat it beforehand and let that dry, and then I can scratch off the paint with a toothpick or something, and that helps me get the actual design really clean. Yeah, and then if you go to next photo, same type of idea. I added a little scarf there. That's, Randy, you were talking about a little bit earlier, just what I liked about the Mythic Legion's design, and it's that detail that they have, just truly incredible. With it looks real almost with the etching that they have in that armor. And then what I would do, like as part of the process, is what's called a wash. So a wash is like a watered down paint, basically, and it's actually really cool in that if you like put it on your brush and touch it to one of those like designs, the paint will run through the whole design and like really bring it out. So I did that to all the kind of unique features on the knight to show a little bit more of that detail. Yeah, and then if you go to the next one.
Actually, someone has a question for you. If you overdo your clear coat, what's the best way to fix it in your opinion?
Oh man, overdoing clear coat, yikes. Clear coats and I have had a very checkered past. I do not get along with clear coats. I feel like if you overdo a clear coat, you almost have to start over. Like the option is like sand it basically all the way down, which is very time consuming and really difficult. Or alternatively, sometimes what I'll do is that if the clear coat doesn't turn out quite perfect, I'll turn it into weathering. Weathering is one of my favorite processes because it's like it really makes whatever you're making look real. And also you get to kind of hide a little bit of those just mistakes that happen as part of this process through, okay, well, that's a battle scratch. Now my paint missed there or something happened, and okay, we're just going to work that in later. And it actually ends up kind of adding to the whole aesthetic.
Well, John, looking at your, you talked about this custom when we started, and I don't think I appreciated it enough. But now that you're explaining it, like the Star Wars armor crossed with the Mythic Legion's armor, I'm really seeing it now, and it's a really great combination. I didn't honestly appreciate it from the initial photos I saw of it, but now I'm really seeing it, and it's very cool.
I appreciate that.
I'll give you more money. Like, wow. Like, what a process. Like, geez.
And it's pretty subtle too, which I actually kind of like. It's almost more knight than clone trooper, unless you're looking really closely. Then it's like, okay, all those things start to come out.
It's a really good mashup of. Looks great.
Thank you. Yeah, and then that's basically, if you go ahead a couple more pictures, I like my Instagram pictures. I took those for Chad to kind of, I always do like a final approval picture, and I do it without, any filters, anything, just in the kind of blank photo booth that I have, which I can show you guys in a little bit. But yeah, those are some of the more artsy pictures where I crop them and put a filter on them and try and make them look appealing for Instagram or for people to see. But anyway, yeah, it's a very unique figure. It's something that truly is one of a kind. Like the idea, of course, came from online, but really the only thing similar to that is the helmet, because that's the only thing I had to buy for that. But really, it's a super unique, one of a kind type figure. I also kind of want to. Or do you guys have any questions about that?
No, I'm good.
I'd also love to kind of walk through Randy's figure a little bit. This one a whole different process. It's been crazy, honestly, just the amount of like work and time and like detail that's had to go into it. I'm trying to figure out the best way to show him here. I think I'll do this again. But basically, so Randy reached out to me and was kind enough to put in an order, and he gave me like complete artistic freedom on what I would be creating, which I really appreciate as a creator, because everybody always has their own particular ideas, and it's kind of, that's great, and it's good for like, just cranking stuff out. Being able to have a little bit of license is really fun too. And he said I could use any of the Cosmic Legion figures, which are of the same quality as the Mythic Legion, just really, really high quality figures. You can just kind of feel it in what they look like. But anyway, I saw one of the four-armed guys, and like, oh my goodness, Pong Krell from Star Wars. Now, if you're not familiar with the character, he's one of the he's a Jedi, but he turns into this villain in one of my favorite episode arcs of the Clone Wars. And he's just this really imposing character that poses like a real challenge to Captain Rex and the rest of his crew. So I thought that, okay, like a big four-armed figure, that would probably work. Well, I got this thing in the mail, and when I opened it up, I was like, oh my goodness, it's like huge. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. Anyway, I basically started the process of, okay, well, I need to get a head first. And I went online and found 3D print files for a Pong Krell head. And I scratched around. I tried to find a vendor who would print it for me. I picked one who was on Etsy, and he printed it. And it took a little while to get here, but it got here, and then I pulled it out of the package, and it's like about half the size. It's about that big. And I put it on there. It's like, maybe I could get it to work. But the reality was it was just going to look too weird. So I bit the bullet, and I reached out to one of my other friends on Instagram who's done a lot of work for me in the past. John Walker Customs. He used to have a shop, but it's closed now, which made me really sad. Anyway, I reached out to him, and he said he'd print it for me and scale it. So as I was telling Randy, I actually had to send the figure itself all the way to his place so he could scale it in person to get it actually right. And I'm so happy with how it turned out. I feel like it's a well-scaled head. But the head is basically stuck on there. It's a 3D print that I hand painted. Faces are one of the hardest things to do to get to look right. You're painting like an eyeball that's probably 1/16 of an inch tall or whatever. And anyway, I had to basically sculpt the neck piece out of like a clay type material, let that harden, give it some texture, bring it all in so it all looks cohesive. Then put the head on, and then I painted it all. I don't think we have paint in progress pics for him, but basically everything's painted underneath, kind of giving it the texture that we see in the show, and the coloring. And then just today I finished up doing like a whole Jedi robe type thing, and that really brought it to life. And yeah, we're almost done. I have to work on the lightsabers and a couple other little details to finish him up, but that's been the process for him. But it's been a really unique build for sure.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was, honestly, it was a lot of fun. It was, Chad had been talking, and I reached out to John and I said, hey, I'm an authorized retailer for Mythic and Cosmic Legions. If there's like a figure you want to mess around with, I got backstock. I got some, I'll ship you some stuff for free if you want to mess around with it. And John instantly goes for the $80 figure. He's like, give me the big one. Give me the big one. I want the four-armed ogre scale guy. And I'm like, of course. All right, yeah. I'll send you a Kragnar. And as you can see, I feel like that was a pretty good choice on both of our parts to do that.
Yeah. So in my defense, I saw the figure and then I saw the price tag and I was like, okay, like maybe we can work with this. Like I can maybe get a smaller one and modify it. I didn't want to run you out of business there.
No, I feel like this was a worthwhile endeavor to be part of. So I'm very excited. I think it looks fantastic.
Well, thank you. It's been really fun to make for sure.
So as someone who doesn't, kind of get into this, I think some of the questions that, people who don't really kind of get into, reaching out to someone like yourself about building customs, right? I think some of the questions that, people might have would be like, how often do you get like hey, I have a vision of something, but they can't explain it. They don't know. They need help getting there. How much, input do you give them? Do you let them, do you have a type of figure that you like, a brand that you like to fall back on? Or do you really kind of just leave it up to, whoever saying, hey, here's a black series, can you do X, right? Just talk maybe a little bit about that, because that's the thing that's always kind of, I think, is the first stumbling block, like myself, some people might run into, is where do you even start, right? Like, what figure do you have and what do you do? And what the process and something like that.
Yeah, for sure. So it really, I feel like most of the time I'll get a pretty specific order. It'll be for some figure from the show that Hasbro hasn't made yet, that somebody's wanting to add to their collection. That's really the beauty of what I do, is that it's people are collecting these figures, and some of their favorites aren't on the shelf. Like, they can't just go out and buy it, and it's really just kind of a unique and special thing to add to somebody's who's been collecting for a long time. Now, if you don't know exactly what you want, or you kind of want to experiment a bit, sometimes I'll direct people to there's pictures online, like they might have something that they made, or like a theme that they have. I've gotten that a time or two where someone's like, okay, I really like this color pattern, can you put that on a clone trooper? And then I go, okay, great. Like, do you want just a normal clone trooper? Do you want details added? Like, there's all kinds of different variations. And I'll kind of send pictures of, all right, like, what do you think of this helmet or this idea? And people kind of start picking up on that. And once those kind of creative juices start flowing, I've found that people kind of open up to, oh, this would be really cool to add, or could I do this as well? And it's just a matter of basically whatever you can imagine, that then I can create for you. So yeah, if you don't have a particular idea, that's something that we can work with, and we can talk through as far as like, okay, what do you like? Because there's definitely going to be things that draw your attention more, colors that draw your attention more, and then we go from there and we create something that's new. And then I really enjoy keeping people like updated in the process of, like, you guys have seen my work in progress pictures, but kind of keeping like everybody in the loop as far as, all right, here's what's happening, especially if you put like a materials down payment down, you want to see where your money's going. And it's like, okay, I bought the figure, I've got, this amount of work into it. Like, here's everything that's going on. And to see it come along too, to creating something new. But yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah. We have a member who has a question.
There's a perfect example of what you're talking about. Right after I got the Rex from him, I was just staring at my shelf. This is actually the Bad Batch Commando. He is just was just plain white. And I literally just messaged John. I was like, hey man, I'm just kind of building my 501st collection up. There's really no such thing as a 501st Commando, at least not that I've ever seen. But yeah, I just asked him if I could send him this plain white Commando, and him do a 501st for me. And that's basically what you're asking him. And same thing, I sent him a couple pictures, just some fan art, and he just did his own thing with it. So,
wow.
Yeah. And another thing is, like,
you're talking about.
You asked like what brands or like figures I would lean to using. Like, generally, I do like Hasbro. There's tons of them out there. It's really cheap to get a body to start off with, and a lot of people are really happy to keep like their collections looking all the same. And I totally understand that, and I can work with it well. But the reality is, like, sometimes those Hasbro molds are just, they almost lean more towards the toy than the reality side of things. That's where I like the Bandai kits, because it's like, it's so accurate, and it's the difference is just marked in how real looking the kit actually is. And anyway, yeah, I always try and like lean in that direction. People are always a little bit more hesitant for the Bandai kits. I actually put up like a whole thing on my Instagram of like comparing the two to try and show people the difference, and why I think the Bandai is better, but that takes some convincing sometimes. I saw the question there on the clothing. I always feel like clothing is actually one of my weak points. It's hard to get to look right, and I've only done it a time or two with like another Jedi robe type situation. I basically I go to Hobby Lobby and I ask them for like the smallest amount of fabric they will sell me, and they all like the ladies always look at me a little bit weird. They're like, "You want like 4 inches of a yard?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's it." They cut it off for me, and it's like 62 cents, and you kind of go from there. Because I use it a lot on the clone troopers to make the kind of skirt looking thing. So anyway, I don't really have any great words for you to find the custom clothing other than just kind of materials are really cheap and you can make it yourself, and it's kind of trial and error to get it to look right. But
Cool. How
John,
much? Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I'm just kind of curious. You know, obviously, the number one question anybody has when they hear somebody like you talk is cost, and obviously, cost is infinitely variable depending on the character, the commission, what you want to do, all that stuff. But if you could kind of just touch on some of the costs, you know, that are factored into when somebody commissions a custom for you, that would be awesome.
yeah, so that's something I've actually thought a lot about. It's really it's honestly a pretty hard product to sell in some ways because it looks awesome, but then you know it's also a lot of work. Like these, I mean, you guys have seen some of the process on everything that goes into this, and like the reason that not everybody can do it is really the equipment and just practice. Because like the airbrush is a upfront investment of, you know, a couple $100s of a compressor and then the airbrush itself and all the parts I've had to buy. But that really makes a huge difference on the quality of a custom that you're getting. So basically there's a lot that kind of goes into the background of the materials costs I have to keep everything up and running. But basically how I've calculated it at this point is you've got your materials cost, and that goes from, all right, what base figure do you want? Do you want just a Hasbro one? Well, okay, then that's going to be, you know, anywhere from $12 or $15 on Facebook. You get like a bunch of those kind of just AliExpress clone troopers, you know, all the way up to whatever unique figure you want to start with. And then it's the actual cost of the 3D printed materials on top of that. So those come from all vendors that like are online. I can't make those yet. I will someday. But for now, I got to buy those too. So that goes from, you know, your materials was maybe $15 to start out with, and then any helmet is $5 to $8 basically if you want something different. And I always recommend, like, you don't want to stick with Hasbro helmets if you want it to look real. So you have to get something that's 3D printed to have that level of just polish that a lot of these customs need. Then you start adding accessories onto that. So, you know, if like a guy today ordered, you know, I want ARC Trooper armor on this clone. And all right, so an ARC Trooper armor is going to be a new helmet, a new chest plate, a new like shoulder thing, foot covers. Like, so it kind of adds up as like these little materials costs that I'm just kind of slave to the market basically on paying that cost for them. So that runs roughly, I'd say, anywhere from $10 to $20 in just 3D printed cost. So you're now at like, we'll say 35 for materials. That's what it ends up being most of the time for these type of things. And then it turns into my time. And basically I keep a timer log on my phone for different projects. So like, you know, Randy, your project, I started it a couple months ago, really, when I started trying to figure out, I got to get ahead. I got to, you know, I'm spending time doing that. So I'm basically, that's where it starts. And then it goes into, all right, you know, I'm a full-time student, so I've got a lot of stuff going on. Basically, when I've got a minute, I start the timer and I'm working. Then I stop it and I go do whatever else I need to do. But that's how I keep a log of exactly how much time has been spent on each particular figure. I originally kind of just wagged it, you know, okay, I'm going to have, they all about take 4-ish hours. So that's what I'm going to charge for. And then I started keeping track and I was like, oh, this takes a lot longer than I was charging for. So keeping a little bit better record is what I end up doing. So I charge $20 an hour at this point for the figures or for my time. So if you put that in the still 4.5 to 5, 6 hours, wherever the figure lands based on detail. You end up with basically 140 to, sky's the limit really on how much you're going to pay for something. But kind of like those base figure repaints with like minimal details, it ends up in that about 135 range. Just by nature of, it takes, it's artwork at the end of the day. It's kind of like at some point you cross this line of this is a toy to this is a piece of artwork that I'm displaying. And that's just, it takes a unique type of person who wants to add that to their collection. And I've been really blessed to have a lot of people who want to do that. Like Chad's one of them. He's been really supportive of all my work, and Randy, you're getting something that's awesome. So it's those type of things that keep me in business and running.
I mean, honestly, that all sounds really cheap to me. Like $20 an hour. I can't get somebody to like unclog my toilet for $20 an hour. And instead of getting like this gorgeous custom Star Wars figure from my collection, that's just, I don't know, you guys. If you're listening to John now, John. I just said I did it, didn't I? John. If you're listening to John, definitely get in now while he's affordable, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I'm really excited about a new project I'm doing. I'm actually going to dive into 1/6 scale, which is the much bigger figures, and I found a place to price that. I tiptoed around some of the vendors on Instagram. I was like, hey, how much do you charge for this? And it gets way expensive way fast. Some of those guys are charging a base repaint on a figure, which again, all the skills translate. So like I know exactly what they're doing to these figures, and it's not taking them any really more time than it's taking me. Like I'm fairly confident in that. And they're charging basically $165 for their time up to $350 just on their paint job. So not even materials, not even any of that. And a lot of them are using actual hot toys. So those type of figures, it's $220 in materials, and then this whole painting on top of that. So anyway,
Wow. That's awesome.
Wow. Yeah, one custom I always wanted to get, and I'll send you some pictures. I'm a big Iron Man fan, but I'm also a Green Lantern fan. And they came out with during the 90s, Marvel and DC had done a collection of comics where they did it was like a 4-issue miniseries where they're fighting each other, and then the universes got combined, and then all the characters got combined, right? So you had, I think, Wolverine and Batman became Dark Claw, but the cool one that I really liked was Iron Lantern. So it's Tony Stark, or it was Hal Stark. And he's it's the green and yellow, and it's just he's got the lantern signal like right where the the chess piece is, and it just looks incredible. And so I've always wanted to get kind of one of those done. So I'll probably hit you up with some information, or with some questions on what something like that might run.
Yeah,
I've always really wanted to do. Another question: is it possible to do a custom? Let me just bring it up. A custom Elden Ring fig, and also Diablo Lilith. Like, is that something you would be able to do?
I'm not as familiar with those kind of universes. I think I know what you're talking about. So the only limiting factor is kind of like I said, your imagination, and at this point where I can get 3D printed parts that look similar. So I can for sure do that. Definitely send me a message. We can talk about it to find something that looks pretty close to what you're going for. But yeah, those type of things, I'm open to that. Like an Iron Man Green Lantern crossover, that would be incredible. I'd love to do something like that. Like I said, all these skills translate from, I chose Star Wars because that's what I grew up with and that's what I really enjoyed. But I mean, there's customs in every universe and every type of intellectual property, basically, that I'd be happy to explore.
What about StarCraft heroes or villains?
Again, I don't know a ton about StarCraft. I definitely send me some pictures, send me what you're thinking. I can look around for ways that I can make it.
So, and it sounds like you have, you've been doing this long enough that you kind of know where to go, right? Someone comes to you and says, "Hey, I want a StarCraft figure." You at least have some idea of which 3D printers might be able to help you out. Or you know where to go to find some of the 3D, art files that you would need, and find people to kind of put some stuff together for you. So, and that I think is a huge part of what you provide to people, right? Is and I actually remember when COVID started. I bought a bunch of paint and I tried. I'll see if I still have it somewhere. I started trying to create my own Iron Lantern, and I even got like a little bit of putty, like a little bit of sculpting clay to put around it, and it's painted, and yeah, it doesn't look that great.
I'm picturing like a green burnt Chucky.
Yeah,
I mean, right now, like
it's not pleasant. It wasn't
like something they show at a trial for serial killers when they're like there were signs that he was going to be bad later on.
But yeah, I mean, just I think just because you have so much kind of that experience, and you're a younger guy, and for what you've already accomplished. I think it's incredible. It really is. Looking at your work and so like something like, I know you said you've been working on Randy's thing for a while, but what's a traditionally what's a repaint turnaround time, like Chad's night, right? The Captain Rex, like what is turnaround time on stuff like that? Is it weeks, months? What does it usually kind of look like?
Yeah, so I mean, generally, when I can actually work and paint on a project, it takes me, I would say, about a week to truly like make something. For if I have everything in front of me to do so, and that's really what the limiting factor is that parts take a long time to get in because they have to be printed by somebody, shipped by somebody, and then I got to get them, and then it's okay. Can we? I'm working on other projects too, but like, so when I sit down and actually do a figure, it usually takes about a week to get through it. Like Chad put in the order for the night on the 29th of December. So like, that's about a month and change, a month and a half that actually took to get him. But I mean, the vast majority of that was just waiting on that helmet because I needed that from that particular, and he was the only one who was selling it. So that was what took so long with it. But usually I would say it's about a week. And then also, like, again, like I said, clear coats and I don't get along super well. So I have to wait for the right weather conditions to clear coat because I can't do that inside. I'll like not be able to breathe for a week if I do that. So sometimes that's a limiting factor too of like, oh, well, it's raining, so I can't do that. And I have to wait for a couple more days.
Well, I have a surprise for you guys.
No.
What's the surprise?
Oh, is that it?
Oh my God.
Horrible.
That is so bad.
He doesn't look
bad.
too bad. I don't know.
No,
Everybody's got to
you
start
can
somewhere.
see the red. You can see the red bleeding through. But what I was trying to focus in is around you can kind of see where I tried to do some putty, some sculpting clay to try to make the lantern. And I was pretty goddamn happy about that.
I'm still trying to be nice right now, Kyle, and not say anything.
I think I'm going to try to sell this in my live tomorrow. An Iron Lantern.
Hey, I don't know. Keep it as a base and send it to me. Then
there you go. It'll be Jon-Luke's his collector's castle challenge to see if he can turn that into something reputable.
Well, and that, but I guess what that shows you is, how incredibly talented someone has to have, and patience and skill, right? Because I definitely did not sit there with a really, really fine tipped paintbrush. You can clearly see from the top of his head that, like,
You don't need to keep
there was
showing that.
not
You really don't.
there was not a
None of
lot
us need to
not
see
a lot
that.
of patience in there, right? But I mean, it because it really is. It is so incredibly. I'll tell you, I remember having a lot of fun with it until I wasn't. Until I was just getting really frustrated, where I'm like, this just looks like someone painted this guy green, and which is ultimately what it is. So, but it just goes to show you, like, why going to people like yourself are, if I want a really, really good painted, detailed Iron Lantern, I got to go to someone like you that's going to kind of put your skill set and your patience and your love into it. Because as you said, I'm not having it built to play with it. I'm having it built to be part of my display, part of my like you said, art, right? And so I'm just incredibly impressed with what you've done so far.
Well, I really appreciate that. It's definitely encouraging to hear, you guys like my work, and I love that Chad has my pieces right in front of him. That's really encouraging, and I love seeing people happy about the figures that they have. I think that's really what makes it fun for me. Is that I started this because I really enjoyed it, and it was like, I don't know, I feel like I didn't get enough. I was homeschooled, so I didn't get a ton of like art class. My mom was not artistic, my dad's not really artistic, and I feel like this is kind of where it just came out of a little thing that I could do for fun on the side. Also, I mean, I've been writing papers for years now. I'm in grad school now, and it's like I needed something that was actually tangible for me to finish and to do with excellence. That wasn't a piece of paper. So this was something that I just picked up as a really fun way to have a hobby, have something that's complete and done, and then I got to share it with somebody else, and that like makes it all like fit together and worth it, and really, really enjoyable. So anyway.
Yeah, this is another one of our members, Guy. Everyone knows Guy. Is very blessed to have artists. He also very much gets into doing custom, having people do customs for it. He sent me pictures of some of the stuff. He's very, very heavy into a lot of the horror stuff. And, I think, I think the last one he sent was a King Kong one. Was it King Kong? Yeah. But the stuff that, some of these people do for him, I mean, incredibly detailed. I mean, he was telling me, I think with the King Kong, and if you're out there, Guy, you can keep me honest on it if that's what it was. But the guy went in and did individual pieces of hair
Ooh,
into this thing.
as a
So I
whole,
mean, it really is just it just goes to show you just really just how much love that people like yourself really just puts into this. Where you do create something that is a one of a kind piece that I think is just incredible. Now Chad is someone who's used his services multiple times, and showing what you got there. I mean, it's you could probably talk about it the best.
Well, I can tell you. You guys have seen my collection, and you guys know how long I've been collecting. And I did not own a single custom piece until I met John. I didn't think they were worth the money, but I didn't understand the process. Even now, I've learned so much tonight that I didn't even know, even from talking to John. But when he approached me about the Captain Rex, I really, really wanted. It's a really good episode, and I love Captain Rex. But he sent me the offer, and I went exploring, looking at other customs on like eBay and stuff. And I mean, I was seeing stuff that looked like a kid got a hold of it with a Sharpie, and they were charging $200.
That was that. Why were you on my eBay page again?
So I ended up pulling the trigger, and when I got it in my hand, it just changed my whole opinion on things. I immediately had that one commissioned, and while I was waiting on him to get done, I was going through his eBay page, and again, just a really awesome character in a very obscure episode of Spark. Man, he's really just maybe 5 minutes of screen time, and I love this guy. And when I saw him, I was like, oh wow, he made a Spark. That's really impressive. And that's what gets me too about his clone work is you can tell he's a really big fan of clones like I am. You can tell, he's the characters he makes. Like he has a cult right now on his eBay page and a Dune. And speaking of which, if you can, somebody throw that link up because he has some really good figures on his eBay store right now. And I'm just gonna go ahead and throw out an offer. If anyone buys anything from his eBay, the first person, John, eBay, and tell them that they saw this, I'm $25 credit towards their purchase.
Nice.
I appreciate
I'm
that.
gonna
Thank
put
you,
that out
Chad.
there in the comments for everyone.
I fully believe if you get one of his figures in your hand, you will be as hooked as I am.
I also want to add on to that as well that go ahead and message me the one you want, whoever gets it first, if they're in the comments, and I'll take 10% off that, whatever the cost is on eBay. But like buy it through me because otherwise I pay eBay fees. So I put them on eBay for reach, but definitely appreciate the direct deals. We can do PayPal goods and services or whatever for buyer protection, but the eBay takes a substantial cut out of anything that I make, so I have to kind of price them accordingly. But actually, speaking of that Colt, I've got a couple more things I want to show you guys. I've got Commander Doom here. I know this is one of Chad's favorites, but he, again, obscure clones. It's funny you say that because I always look at, I've seen all those episodes so many times. I'm on my probably 5th rewatch now. But they don't seem obscure to me. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember who that was. He was a cool commander. I'll make him.
If my wife is watching, I mean, you're going to send out Rex anyway. I mean, Valentine's Day is next week. Commander Doom.
This is the
so.
I wanted to show. I'm not sure if you can see it super well, but this is the Colt that I had, and also in my photo booth. So my mom ran a little small business on eBay for a while and had this photo booth, and I ended up. She stopped using it, and I ended up using it. But anyway, there's that Colt there. He's one of my favorites. Turned out really, really well.
Wow.
And anyway.
Well, it looks like Guy's keeping me honest. He said they used a Kemper skin mask. The Kong bust was a ton of work. Each freaking hairline was line by line. It's a huge bust. It took a little over a month to do, but damn well worth it.
See, that's a whole other level.
Facial hair was punched in. Yikes.
That's a whole other level of customizing. That's something that I don't even want to touch. That it's so complicated, so much time. Those guys are incredibly talented who do that, and maybe one day, but for now I'll stick with my little clone troopers.
I think we're all excited to see your first step into the 1/6 scale, because that was going to be one of my questions. Is have you gotten into that yet? And so I'm excited to see what you end up doing.
Yeah, I'll be sure to post progress pictures and keep you guys in the loop and all that. Again, I'm trying to actually scratch build it, so it's not going to be a Hot Toys base to keep costs down. But I think I've seen quite a few YouTube videos on them making it look really, really good. So if anybody's interested in that scale for a custom, especially as I'm starting out here, I'm probably going to keep the price pretty low.
So what would you use as a base character? Like, where would you get your base figure?
So
Starting with a hot toy.
oddly enough, they actually sell like a 1/6 body on Amazon. That's just a body. And I think it's probably for like kind of the military figures potentially. They make those, and then you literally buy a 1/6 jumpsuit for the undersuit, and then I've bought the armor from a 3D printer online,
Oh wow!
and then it's built like a actual costume armor. So every piece like slides on over the actual body, which is totally unlike the Black Series because it's like actually mold. But these are actually pieces of armor that slide on just like a real costume. I think it actually will probably look more like the live action Clone Troopers, which I'm really excited about.
Actually, Guy says he could probably help you out with that. I have somebody who has a person that could help you. He makes clothes in house, and Guy is I mean, he's one of my best guys. I love them. So definitely reach out to Guy. Anything he can help you out with. He's an incredible presence in the community. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Thank you for offering that, Guy.
Yeah, awesome. Appreciate that.
But yeah, no, it's so very cool. Very cool. While we kind of wrap up here, and we'll leave it open for a couple questions if anyone has any. But kind of wrapping up on this here. Randy, Chad, do you guys have any more questions or?
I just want to know, if I don't know how to find Jon-Luke's stuff, where do I go?
Well,
So,
the eBay.
So the best place to find me is on Instagram for sure, at JL Hawk Customs. That's my just Instagram username. I'll come up pretty easily on there. I'm Jon-Luke Hawk on Facebook. I also have that at JL Hawk Customs attached to my Facebook account as well, so you can find me through there. I've got links posted all over my accounts, so if you can find me, then you can find my eBay or to see those type of things. And like I said, always just if you got any questions, shoot me a message. I'd love to chat about what figure you want, or just even I give out advice too. I don't know what's the old saying, wizard never reveals his secrets, but I've been helped a lot by this community who, little tidbits of information here or there has gotten me able to complete something or just to learn a better way to do it. And I'm happy to share that with people if they've got questions.
Excellent.
Well, that's awesome.
So very cool.
I cannot recommend John more. He's an amazing artist, and not only that, he's an amazing person. And that says a lot right there. You're definitely in good hands with him. So definitely reach out.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Chad.
Yeah, I mean, you've convinced me. I mean, it's incredible. So, like I said, I'll be reaching out to you with the mess that is my figure.
Looking forward.
Well, John, I would assume you're going to continue to post some of your customs on the Collector's Castle page so we can all see your work as you continue.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I would be more than happy to do that. And I can even post some of the ones that are from that I've done previously as well to give you kind of a taste of that.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's great. I appreciate that. So, all right, cool.
Should we let John go back to his real life now for a little while and not let us annoy him?
It's been great talking with you guys. Thank you so much. And
yeah, we appreciate your flexibility, especially we did try to do this last week and had to punt because and I apologize to everyone for that because work has just been a beast lately. But so we really do. I personally appreciate your patience and rescheduling for us with us for today. Because it was something I was really excited about because I've never dealt with customs, right? And so just to hear a little bit about the process, and I think a lot of people are just very curious on what's involved in that. And I think you really kind of walked people through it. So that was just really incredible. And I just want to thank you for being a guest tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And a huge shout out to Chad as well for all of his work in the marketing side and those awesome videos. I know those aren't easy to make, and he really puts a lot of time and effort into them, and they turn out awesome. And also, thank you to Randy as well for buying some of my work and giving me the opportunity to make something new and unique. I can't wait to see it displayed in your shop or wherever you're gonna put it.
It's going to be all over Facebook, and it'll definitely have a premier spot in my shop.
Awesome. We're looking forward to that.
All right, excellent.
Thanks, John.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
All right. Well, wrapping up. I don't know if there's anything else that you guys kind of have hot that you want to talk about, except for this week's kind of hot movers, which really is not much hot movers for me, but Randy's got himself quite the hot one.
Yeah, guys, obviously, Mythic Legion's the Poxus Wave, the third of the 4 horsemen, I believe, is dropping next Friday. I'll be able to start shipping next Friday. I'll have a link up on the castle tomorrow. If you're interested in pre-ordering any of the figures, I'll have prices. I do free shipping on all of my Mythic and Cosmic Legions. So if that's something you're interested in, or just want to get ahead of the curve and get some before they sell out, like I said, I'll have that post up tomorrow. You can hit me on that. And yeah, it's a badass wave. Some really amazing figures. I know some of the store horsemen pre-orders have been coming in, and some customers have gotten them, and they're getting quite the positive reception. So
excellent. They look great.
So,
they look fantastic.
Yeah,
definitely.
I was actually looking at this horse last night with that armor, and I'm thinking maybe Captain Rex needs a companion that I can send to John and let him do.
Yeah, those look really, really great. Really great. That was really it for the slides. The only thing I had to really kind of add was, as far as self promotion, was tomorrow night and probably Saturday night. We're going to be doing kind of an overstock sale where we're dropping the prices on some stuff. Just we have way too much inventory, and so we need to just get some stuff out. So we're going to be dropping the prices on stuff. I think we scheduled it for 8 Central. It might be a little bit later. We're supposed to meet some people for dinner. So, I'm never on time anyways, so what does it matter? But, I absolutely love the videos you did this week for people, Chad. Those things are incredible. That's awesome. I was showing it to Liz last night, and she's like, "Oh my god!" Like, what, So really appreciate that. But that's really all I got this week. I mean, unless you guys got something else on your heart or on your chest that you want to get off, and
I'm good. I'm just pumped waiting for my JL Hot Custom to come in.
On the collection side of things, there's a really decent Han Solo by Hot Toys announced this week. So get with Randy.
That's true. Yeah, I think if
that's what they've done easily.
Yeah, I could throw that up on the castle if anybody's interested in pre-ordering that Han.
Wow, that's cool. Very cool. Yeah, guys, don't forget that, if you are out there, speaking of 1/6 scale, if you're looking for Hot Toys, Randy has a sideshow distributorship. So, really kind of reach out to him. He has stuff in stock and he does pre-orders on stuff. So, make sure to reach out to him. And what is it? You just do retail with free shipping, right?
Yeah. I always do free shipping on my Hot Toys, especially if they're pre-ordered. If I have them in stock, sometimes I'll work out a deal and be nice. Who knows? Reach out to me.
It's very cool. Very cool. So I'm just going to wrap it up there. We do appreciate each and every one of you guys for joining us. I told Liz that we were going to keep it to an hour, and she's like, "Nah, you guys will go over." I'm like, "No, we'll keep it tight. We're gonna keep it tight tonight." And clearly, that was not the case. I think my custom figure derailed it a little bit. So, but
It was worth it. It was so worth it.
This was awesome. I know we've got a lot of other people in our community that have a lot of other talents. So why don't you reach out if you're interested in being on here in our guest spotlight? Because I really enjoyed tonight, and I would love to get more people on. I think it would be the best thing for the podcast going forward. So please reach out to us if you want to be on and let us know what you bring to the table. Please, we're interested.
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, don't be don't be think that, oh well, it's not something that you would normally see, right? I mean, if you are into something different, I mean, this we've talked very much, especially, we're actually at year 3 of Collector's Castle. But we've been talking very much the last couple months about, we want this to be your home where you feel you can, present yourself and your collection. And, so as Chad said, please reach out to us. We very, very, very much want to make this night more about the members and kind of showing you guys a little bit more of what's out there. And have a little bit of fun while we do it. So
absolutely.
Have some
not a day goes by at my shop where somebody doesn't come in that's into something very specific that I try to fake my way through, but ultimately I can't. But I learn a lot from them, whether it's Godzilla or anime or something out of my wheelhouse. But I just love to learn, and I would love members of our community to step up and maybe come in and I mean, if you just want to come in and talk about your passion for Naruto or Demon Slayer or Friday the 13th or Star Wars and just have a roundtable discussion with us about some obscure thing, we are here for you.
Oh yeah, I love hearing about new stuff. I mean that fascinates me. So yeah, I'm all about that. I'm all for that. So, all right. Well, thank you. Real quick, just as we close up, Jared, if you're still here, no, he does more than just clones. He pretty much will do whatever you want him to do. So come up with if you have some ideas, just reach out to him. We posted his Instagram. But he does many different other things. So do you guys really
Yeah.
Wait, do you guys really I do sometimes
I wah daily.
I want daily. No, we want. Do you guys really want to talk to me? Absolutely. We want you guys to feel like, look, you want to join us. Maybe one night we'll just do have a couple different
community roundtable. Yeah.
Yeah. Just, if you feel like maybe we'll do that, the next month or so, just kind of something, kind of open forum, come in and talk and chat with us. I mean, look, this thing can hold up to 20-something people. No, I don't know if 20-something people talking over each other is necessarily going to work. But
so
why
next
not?
month we're gonna do why Rise of Skywalker was the best Star Wars movie ever. So tune in, folks. Let's just pour gasoline on that fire right now.
No one's doing any custom figures from that movie. I don't think, right?
No, I don't. I mean, no. What do you do? Palpatine in a tube, like it's something out of Alien Resurrection.
Yeah, exactly.
Like where they keep trying to clone him, but they fuck up, and he keeps looking weirder and weirder.
Yeah, I love that. I'd like to do one about comic books.
Yeah.
I love I grew up. I still read comics. So I'd love to do something about comic books one night. Just talk.
Yeah, I could definitely do one from the store with all the books and stuff we have in stock and stuff like that.
Yeah, big one this week. I think was what Thundercats 1 just came out this week.
Thundercats 1 this week. We got Dark Soul. I got Dark Souls #1 for fans of the video game. Got some really cool foil covers on that. Ultimate Black Panther. For those of you in comic books, Ultimate Spider-Man a week or two ago, the $5.99 cover price we're going for $50 on eBay. And this week came Ultimate Black Panther.
The regular basic.
Regular, yep. Cover one, nothing special. $50 on eBay. Because nobody expected. Nobody pull boxed it. Most of my pull box guys didn't have it on their lists. It came out and it went crazy. And the book's really good. If you guys are specking other stuff, Avengers Twilight right now. Issue 2 came out this week. Fantastic story.
That has been a great read. That's been a great read.
Man, that has been fantastic.
I'll tell you the what they're doing with the Ultimate line is phenomenal. The Ultimate Invasion was great. Ultimate Spider-Man 1 was just a great comic book. Just just an incredible book. I loved every fucking page of that book. And I read Black Panther tonight, and it was good. It was really, really good. And so it's cool to see kind of what they're doing. But I had no idea that I think I have a pile of Ultimate Spider-Man sitting here because I never put anything out last week.
Pile of gold.
Yeah.
Pile of gold. Those are $30 to $50+ right now on eBay.
Jeez.
I sold all my back stock that didn't sell in the first 2 weeks I had it. I sold them all for $50 on eBay and cleared out my shelf.
Well, that's what I might end up doing. So, Ian asked, "How much is Dark Souls?"
Oh, Dark Souls just cover price $3.99, $4.99. I think the foil covers I sold out of both of the ones I had in stock when I got them the first day. They were $13.99, so I don't have any more of those. But really cool comic book. Definitely. It's more fun stuff. Like Kyle said, Thundercats. I didn't sell a lot of Thundercats this week, but I anticipate that's going to be a big one. And guys, if you're not paying attention to the Energon universe, Duke, Cobra Commander, and Transformers, get with the freaking get with the program right now. Start reading those books. Start picking them up. Start putting them in your short box at home. Read them. Don't wait for trade paperbacks. The stories are freaking awesome.
Oh, I haven't read the G.I. Joe issues yet, but the Transformers are phenomenal.
Yeah, dude, Cobra Commander is so good. So good. And Cobra Commander was so good, I didn't even want to read Duke because I didn't care for regular G.I. Joe stuff. But I read Cobra Commander, and I went and I grabbed Duke 1 and 2, and I read them. And I feel like this is going to be there's no way these stories don't end up on the big screen in some fashion. I don't know if they can do a rated R Transformers, G.I. Joe stuff, but man, this stuff's good. Stories are good.
Wow.
Good.
That's so cool. Yeah.
Print's been so bad for so long. That's good to hear some good news finally from that.
Yeah. They are really, really good. And let's all just cross our fingers that Deadpool 3 is good this summer and Marvel's not dead, right?
Oh, shoot.
Oh no. But yeah.
You never, man, the big rumor right now is Elon Musk is about to buy Disney, so we'll see.
Yeah,
Get out of here. Is that right?
No.
That's
what's over the
why not? Let him.
That's a really down note to end our podcast on.
You got something else we can end with?
Yeah. Like, is Natalie Portman coming back to Star Wars? Can we get some good news? Hey, Emily Alcock is going to be, is it Supergirl? Gal from Game of Thrones?
Oh, really?
There's some good news. James Gunn finally gave us some casting news.
Okay.
I might be wrong in the first name. It's Alcock. She was in House of the Dragon, but she's going to be our Power Girl. So that's good news.
That's a good one.
That's good.
I will watch anything by James Gunn.
I will too.
Phenomenal. So
especially if it's rated R.
There'll be one teaser tomorrow, so I'm betting that season 2 is going to be announced. I heard the Super Bowl.
We're going to see our first teaser trailer for the new Twister sequel. For those of you 90s Twister fans, Bill Paxton, Helen Hunt sequel, prequel, requel, whatever you want to call it.
That's what we're ending with, Twister.
Yeah, dude, Twister was a great movie. Anybody trashes Twister, I'll take him on.
It wasn't good.
It was so good.
A bad ride to Universal, though. I will say that.
That was the reason they added DTS to those movie theaters in the 90s,
Ugh.
just for Twister. Not so we could watch Jack drown on a piece of wood after the Titanic sunk.
What's wrong with that?
Awful waste of theater space.
She could have gotten him. She could have gotten him on the door. That's all I'm saying.
We're spiraling out of control here, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. All right. Hey, thanks again, gents. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us tonight. We'll be back probably in a couple of weeks with our next episode. Again, reach out to us if you want to be part of a future video/podcast with us. Otherwise, appreciate y'all, and have yourself a good rest of the week. Take care, everyone.
Adios.
Later.